Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of FitzRupee Cast featuring DoW2 Retribution. Red-Rupee here with you as always, calling the shots, and we are looking at the battleground that is Hydris Chasm. And we've got, obviously, by that, a 2-on-2 game, and we're on Elite Mod tonight, so we'll be seeing all the Elite Mod units and goodies that we have become so familiar with. And quite a few players that are pretty talented and pretty common on the Elite Mod scene. We've got NerdPlayGames starting off the blue team as the Orky Warboss, then Mr. Larks as the Eldar Warlock. So Warboss and Warlock on the blue team. Then we've got the Commissar Lord starting off the red team as Array, and then Jomanix as the tricky Warp Spider for the red team. So let's go ahead, get things started here, and see how this goes. Hydris Chasm, of course, kind of tends to bifurcate the battle into two distinct sides generally. You got a pretty lane-intensive map here, so the battle at the beginning tends to just be kind of one-on-one and very straightforward. Probably see a lot of platforms and that kind of play to start things off. As the Warlock jumps in with his combat leap, that thing is so nasty these days, instantly getting some knockdown whenever he gets into fights, and starts off those engagements with that nasty combat jump. One Sentinel on the field, two Sluggers actually for NerdPlay, and triple Guardians for Jomanix. And of course some Banshees for Mr. Lark with the Warlock. So starting off right here, we're seeing Commissar Lord went up here quick, trying to get that contested power node and popping the cap right away, trying to keep the Orcs from getting hold of that too quickly and get his side a little early extra power income. And if you hold that throughout the game, it actually matters. I mean, it's like that with a lot of contested power nodes. A lot of people don't really consider it, but when your team holds those extra nodes throughout the game a little bit, then it makes a big difference in the long run. So upon seeing the two Slugger boys, the Commissar decides to get the heck out of there, and it looks like he was just stalling as Mankind's deciding to go for a double Sentinel build. Let's take a look at what's happening on the other side. Looks like Warlock and his Guardians got pushed off pretty easily by the triple Guardians and major range damage of the Warp Spider and his three range squads over here. Banshee's kind of laying back, waiting to engage. Obviously didn't want to charge against that kind of range firepower. Wouldn't have done much for him, and looks like Jomanix going straight for the heavy gauge Death Spinner, which is going to be very useful for keeping that Warlock out of his hair. It looks like we don't have any grenade upgrades because he went for that War Gear first, so these Banshees still going to have to get out of there, but the Warlock's coming in. A couple Guardians have gone down, or of course Dire Avengers in this mod. The Guardians are restricted to their weapons team, and the Warlock's down on his back thanks to the heavy gauge Death Spinner, and it's going to go down really quickly here. An early quick win there for Jomanix. Meanwhile, the Sentinels look like they've been dishing out some beating to the Orcs over here. They've been taking some as well, and the turret's going down on the natural power farm of NerdPlayGames on this side of the map. So that's going to be a big headache for him along with these double Sentinels. Array only has one infantry squad on the field. He's just got the one Guardian or Guardsman on the field, and they're just going to hang back and try to keep these Sentinels healthy. Luda came out nice and quick. They do tons of damage right now, but the Commissar Lord managed to get in there and knock it down and take quite a bit of health off of it. So if it gets focused down by this turret, which obviously can't be suppressed, it's probably going to have to fall back, and I think NerdPlay is just going to lose his power farm over here. So extremely aggressive play with these double Sentinels and microing them very well, keeping them low health, but they're getting the repair going just enough to keep everything alive, and it looks like everything's turning out poorly over here on this side of the map. Here comes a grenade on the Banshees on this. Oh no! And the whole entire squad is down. It's not looking good for Larks. He's gone double Shuriken. Meanwhile, back over on this side of the map, it looks like, yeah, this farm's in a lot of trouble. Choosing to keep the Ludus Cloak, he knows he's not going to be able to suppress anything. All this is unsuppressible except for the Guardsmen, and they're not the ones doing any of the damage here. Both Sentinels getting upgraded with their Stomp upgrade, going to make them even more of a headache. And the Warp Spider and his Guardians moving in on the two Shuriken Cannons for Larks. Normally that double Shuriken Cannon will be extremely effective for this side of the map. Those Guardians getting very low for Larks, though. He needs to get out of there, trying to throw that grenade. Might get it right on top, but he takes out his own squad with it. Oh, dear. And in the meantime, looks like a flare went down there to try to protect that Sentinel from the shooters, which was getting very low, and the Orcs finally managed to take out that turret. Looks like possibly with the help of some burners on those Slugger boys. And in the meantime, Commissar Lord with his sword going in and getting some knockdown attacks, very similar to the Force Commander battle cry, tossing Orcs all over the place. Warboss misses his stomp. Good Sentinel micro, keep drawing in all these ranged squads and just constantly bleeding the Orc off without taking any real bleed of his own. Mankind doing a great job on his side of the map. The red team overall seems to be dominating despite that one Guardian boss right there at the eastern side of the map right there. So Jomanix getting some Rangers, going to continue to go for a heavily range-focused army. Larks obviously now losing those Banshees in a similar situation, but those Rangers going to be a big headache for these Guardian weapon teams. Those Shuriken cannons obviously outranged by the sniper rifles. And I'm sure we'll be seeing lots of energy shields popping up here. You can see one over here already. Since it's so hard to get flanks off on this map, I mean, the energy shields are just so very useful on this map. Warlock coming in, trying to maybe tag a Sentinel or something. I'm not sure what his plan is. There goes the combat leap, but he's just going to get stomped and forced off, I think. Yeah, there goes the stomp. He gets stunned, and he's just going to have to get out of there. So everyone's heading into Tier 2. Both the blue team players heading in there pretty much at the same exact time as Array, Mr. Mankind, and Jomanix still hanging out. He could go Tier 2. He looks like he may have just slipped up a little bit. Using the Ranger Holofield to get in on the Shuriken Cannon. Gonna lose his Rangers, though, if he doesn't retreat them right away. 2 grenades go off and obliterate a Shuriken Cannon completely. That's an ability I just don't see used often enough, and manages to take out a Guardian Weapons team as well. Or sorry, yeah, that's the Guardian's weapon team. A Dire Avenger squad went down as well. Getting the decap on the point, stopping the VP bleed, but they're just going to have to get out of there most likely. A big run around from behind from the Commissar Lord, but he's going to walk right in front of those Shurikens if he's not careful. Both of these Sentinels still up and still being a major headache for NerdPlayGames. Warboss keeps trying to move in. Guardsmen getting dangerously low as they get pursued by the Sluggers on the retreat there, and some nice use of Use Your Choppas. Taking out the Commissar Lord. Larks, however, down to a single Guardian Weapons team. Not looking good for his side at all. He's managed to not lose his farm, though, despite losing so many squads so far. He's lost 3 squads. He's managed to keep his power farm up and not really lose the VPs, so that's surprising. We'll see if it matters in the long run, though, because you're not going to be able to hold that VP without any army. Array bringing on a Chimera, and of course Larks going straight for that Wraith Lord. That Wraith Lord's going to hurt Jomanix pretty bad and allow him to hold that VP a good deal longer as it comes out onto the field. Warlock, again, kind of... I don't know if Larks is just trying to support the Orcs, but he's always here at the wrong time. Loot is getting upgraded to Beamy, but it's not going to be before that Chimera gets behind him. And it looks like that one member may have gotten spotted, so if Mankind is paying attention, he's going to hop out and finish those Voodoo Boys off. He does see him and fall back. A quick res from his teammate Jomanix gets that Commissar back into the action. And Shuriken Cannon upgraded on the Wraith Lord, going to start pounding away at the Guardians. He can just walk up and crush that shield. I'm not sure what he's waiting for. Perhaps he doesn't realize that Jomanix is a bit behind in the tech and is kind of fearing a Shuriken Cannon, or sorry, a Brightlands Cannon or something like that. And that's kind of funny. Look, he grabbed a Dire Avenger and there was no model. It was just the gun. Perhaps there's something wrong with their models on death. Warp Spider actually upgrading a second weapon right there, upgraded to his Power Blades. And Mankind going straight heavy into Tier 2. Has a Chimera on the field, has Ogrins already out, getting a Bonehead upgrade. And the only problem with these 2 Sentinels is that he doesn't have 2 Guardsman squads, so he's been having a hard time keeping those healthy. One of them's already very dangerously low. Buddha's moving in here while Sluggers try to get some power bashing. Engagements happening on both sides of the map. looks like Jomanix is going to hold his side, but I'm not sure how this is going to work out over here. Those Ogrins should be able to charge in and pretty much handle all of these orcs right now. There's not much they can do about it. Meanwhile, NerdPlay went straight to tier 3 and is going for flash kits, so that's an interesting choice. Completely ignored tier 2. All he got was that beamy def gun on the Ludas and just heading straight into tier 3. So we're going to have to see if those flash kits make a big difference, but it looks like it's going to cost him his power farm if he's not careful. A Bright Lance attacking the Wraith Lord of Jomanix right now, while Larks is just kind of chopping up Guardians and going to start falling back in the meantime. Meanwhile, we can see Jomanix opted to get the Bright Lance on his own Wraith Lord, which will give him the ability to kind of chase this one down if he catches it out of position. It won't be able to kind of dodge around as much as he wants. Ogren's hiding behind the structure here, this ancient guard tower, while Mankind finishes off the power farm of NerdPlayGames right there. Beamy Def Gun gets in the guard tower, however, these Sentinels are going to have to be very careful as that thing does some nasty damage with its shots right there. Oh man, and we can see 351 after one shot right there. Oh, and here comes, oh no, an Altar dropping from firmament up on high. One Sentinel goes down. That Beamy Luda's causing lots of damage. Altark instantly falls. It was not worth dropping that Altark in if that's all they were going to do was get one Sentinel out of it. Beamy Def Gun managed to take out one of those two pesky Sentinels, but one's still up. Not looking good for the blue team. 438 to 340. If Jomanix had been managing to hold this victory point a bit more, I really think this game would be a lot closer to done right now. Warspires warp in on the Guardians weapons team, hit the Wraith Lord with a Haywire Grenade, and now everything's moving in to finish it off. A nice warp throw, allowing that Wraith Lord to kind of turn around and engage them at the moment. Hard Boys going off on the Sluggers with their knob, but I don't think there's still going to be any match for Ogrins. A Commissar Flare going down, protecting that Sentinel from the Beamy Def Gun, it looks like. However, those flash kits are causing some pretty heavy damage. User Choppas on the second squad of Slugger Boys, moving in on the Ogrins. And it's a triple cap against the blue team finally. It looks like the Sentinel does go down to the flash kits. Look at the range on those guys. They're hitting this guard squad from way back there and managed to take out that second Sentinel. So Mankind heading into tier 3 with just a couple squads and a Chimera. I really think he could use maybe a second Guardian squad or something he could have used to kind of keep his vehicles a little more healthy. Warboss went down over here, but there's Dark Reapers on the field, which are going to be doing maximum damage to those Ogrins. Gotta have to be very careful with those on the field right now. Looks like, oh, we've got another Wraith Lord face-off. These two have just kind of been poking and prodding at each other. Warp Spider going in with his Power Blades and the Haywire Grenade going down as well. This might be it for Lark's Wraith Lord, and after trying to hold for so long, it looks like it's finally going to go down, and that's really going to open up this side of the map for Jomanix to kind of take control and finish off this power farm. There is a Bright Lance on the field over here, but I'm sure the War Spire is just going to hop right over and take it out. Getting a quick sync kill before he does so, however, though. And the Bright Lance just decides it's going to be a better choice to get out of there for the time being. NerdPlayGames picking up some momentum finally here, though, and managing to push back Array as both of those Sentinels have finally gone down. Dark Reapers kind of firing on the power. They see the Ogrins coming in, so they're going to fall back. Ogrins a bit ambivalent right now, not sure what they need to go after. They probably need to get over here and support the rest of the Imperial Guard army. A lone shooter boy escapes after trying to get the cap on the VP. They do get the decap and white it out. But that's not going to be enough for the time being. Here comes the Sluggers, and this time they have User Choppas activated, knocking Ogrins all over the place. And man, actually doing some pretty excellent damage. Those Ogrins going to have to be very careful right here. I think they need to head to that Chimera. He's not paying attention. And the Ogrins go down. Oh dear. Jomanix comes in, but a second too late to help that Ogrin squad. Warp Spider might go down if he's not careful right here. I'm surprised actually. Oh my goodness, a big Slugger squad lost there for NerdPlay. Oh, it's just brutal on this side of the map right now. Squads going down left and right. Oh man, check this out. We've got some Cadian Kasserkin squads right here. These are elite tier 3 guardsmen. They have some pretty heavy damage output. And pretty long range it looks like. I'm not too familiar with these. I haven't used them much myself. They're new to the 2.08 patch that came out recently. They've got quite a grenade toss range on them. Look at that. I'm not sure if they have grenade launchers mounted on their rifles. If not, they got a heck of an arm on them. And it looks like the Warboss getting his Power Claw all upgraded with a trophy rack, heavy armor, and now the Claw. And this Chimera's in a lot of trouble if he gets one more swing on it. Down it goes! Suddenly Array in a bit of a predicament. Down to only 2 infantry squads. Not looking good at all for him for the time being. Commissar Lord bossing around an entire squad of sluggers on his own with that nasty power sword. And his battle cry. Jomanix again popping out of the warp gate over here to support his ally. Kind of all the action happening on this side of the map. War Spider engaging the flash skits. Really necessary to negate that long range heavy damage that comes in from that crazy tier 3 orc range squad. And man, I'm surprised that that Wraithlord just kind of let the Warlock walk right by. Could have had a free hero kill right there. D-Cannon out on the field from Larks on this side of the map. It looks like both teams really just kind of focusing on the VP side right now. Oh, it looks like we've got Emperor's Wrath on the field. There comes the artillery strike from the off-map. And the War Spider teleports in to finish it off as the Commissar knocked out one of those last shooter boys. 2 squads down from that strike. That was a really perfect timing for that. Both Warboss buffs going down on those Slugger boys, but they're still taking tons of fire. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. Commissar might go down here. Yes, he does. But the Wraithlord's going to come in and scare off the Slugger boys and push them back a little bit. 262 to 326. Blue team's still struggling to get a foothold on the map here. There's nothing over here. I'm not sure if they're paying attention. It looks like, yeah, the Dire Avengers have been capping a little bit and starting to head over there. We've got an Avatar coming onto the field. A lot of squads lost so far. Some pretty heavy damage from just about everything. Rangers trying to get some kills on these Dire Avengers, but it looks like the Guardians are just gonna, or Dire Avengers are just gonna go in and melee them to death. But not before everything pops out of that warp gate and scares them out of there right away. Jomanix doing a great job using these warp gates to stay on both sides of the map. A bit early for a retreat grenade, didn't quite connect on that. Warlock heading in here, upgraded with 2 things. It looks like he's holding out for Providence, perhaps. He's got both the Witchblade and Warp Throw. And Providence kind of rounds out that nasty combo and allows him to really just pull squads in and annihilate them. Avatar is on the field, however, though, and it looks like it's heading to this side of the map. There it is, that big, nasty manifestation of the War God for the Eldar units. Big super unit on the field. Everyone's tier 3. Several people down to just a few squads, however. Flash gets not doing too much to that Avatar, however, and everything's heading in on this Warboss. He realizes he needs to back off. Mankind got himself a squad of Catachan Devils, but it's pretty late game. We're going to have to see how well this works out for him. These Catachans aren't very leveled up or anything like that. But it looks like, I think they do have both of their leaders already. Knobs on the field. Oh man! War Spider teleports but gets killed on his way through the warp. That Power Claw just must have reached right through and snagged him. And it looks like this Orc force is going to get pushed back relatively easily. In the meantime, Warlock may go down again. Oh, Guardians steal the shot, but Dark Reapers and Dire Avengers pouring heavy fire into that Guardsman squad, which is level 4. He doesn't want to lose that. 222 to 319. Wrath of Cain going off, but it looks like these knobs are going to be able to finish off the Wraithlord anyways. He's trying to escape, but I don't think he's going to be quick enough. Down he goes. Knobs taking the kill and running with it. Realizing they're not going to be able to beat the Avatar on their own for the time being. They might have been able to stick around for a while and maybe stall around for a bit while that Beamy Luda got into position, but it would have cost a few expensive knobs most likely. 2 war trucks coming on the field for NerdPlayGames. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not. But oh man, the entire Eldar force warps in from Larks and is putting a lot of pressure on this Avatar. It's going to need to retreat as quickly as it can. It's a bit out of position, however, though, down to about half health already. Commissar is going to come in and try to knock some orcs around, but that Avatar is still taking some heavy damage. It looks like it's going to escape. All reliable forcing off, and we've got a fire prism on the field as well now from Jomanix. So that's exactly what the Doctor ordered, knocking back all the pursuing forces of the blue team over here. And causing a little bit of trouble right there. So a pair of war trucks now on the field. I guess we'll have to see how this works out. I guess there's not really that much AV on the field other than that fire prism. So maybe this will give the mobility that NerdPlay is looking for. One of them is filled with flash kits, with the other one filled with knobs, of course. A grenade going down behind those guardsmen, and look, none shall fall being activated, meaning none of those units are going to die for the time being. They can get reduced to practically no HP, but they will not die. However, it looks like that effect wore off a bit earlier than he would have liked, and the knobs almost finish off the squad. Luckily, a nice explosive shot from those Catachin Devils saves those guardsmen. Hawkboy's allowing the war boss to pick up his ally and knocking around that warp spider, who then gets focus fired into oblivion right there. Catachin's still trying to harass where they can, but it's going to be very expensive because several of them go down. Didn't really cause too much trouble there for the cost. Dire Avengers trying to move in on the VP over here. I'm not sure they know that that webgrade gate's over there. They should, considering the kind of pressure it put onto that Avatar, which is now all healed up and back on the field, ready to cause some more hurt. Looks like a Manticore coming on the field for the red team. 187 to 316. Blue team's holding their own at this point, but really going to have to play it tight to stay in this game. Let's see where those war trucks are. They're just kind of hanging around getting healed up. A Seer Council on the field for Larks. That's going to be no fun for anyone on the red team. D-Cannon coming onto the field for Jomanix. There's nothing really on the field on this side of the map that's going to deal with the infantry that's over here. I'm surprised they're not trying to focus down that Bright Lance. There it goes. It decides to fall back prematurely there. And upon seeing that the Seer Council was in the middle of everything, they decided to fall back. Looks like a Manticore strike took out this first war truck over here. A fire prism now coming onto the field for Larks as well. And man, just kind of calamity happening everywhere right now. As the Warlock tries to move in here and cause some trouble. Still hasn't had the resources to get Providence. It's a very expensive war gear. Here comes the Ethereal Slash, knocks some stuff around. What he needs to do is take out that D-Cannon, at least get a D set up right now. Avatar facing off against Knobs on this side of the map. Catachin Devils in a lot of trouble. Duking it out with some Sluggas and a bit of fisticuffs there, but they're not going to win that fight. Manticore Strike goes down, forces off the Slugga boys, and a Singularity on the VP, trying to prevent that decap from happening. Avatar in a bit of trouble, though. Knobs in pursuit, very high health, and those Beamy Ludas taking one last shot. That's not going to be a good loss there. I mean, it's never a good loss for the Avatar, but it's kind of crucial to have that. Seer Council tearing up all the infantry on the eastern side of the map while that Avatar is trying to escape from the Knobs. It's going to go for a last-ditch effort to get off a Wailing Doom, and it does, but those flash kits might just finish it off. It's got 18 HP, and down it goes. Oh, it almost saved itself, but just couldn't quite pull it off. One Manticore still hanging back there. Blue team kind of hanging out, whited out the VPs, and gonna get the cap. 142 to 309. It looks like the blue team actually has I'd say a stronger force right now. Jomanix lost his fire prism as well at some point over here. I think that it was up here with the Avatar, and maybe those Beamy Ludas surprised it. Slugga boys causing lots of trouble. Truck moving in. It's suddenly looking very dire for the red team. Another Manticore coming out, but I'm not sure that's what he needs. He needs something that can stay out here and deal with these orcs. Flash gets constantly causing lots of damage on this side of the map. With those Git Finder upgrades, they can shoot so far that you just don't even realize half the time how much damage you're taking from them. Fire Prism's going to be able to lock down this side of the map, and it's a triple cap for the blue team, who's really been bringing the hurt in these past few engagements. Another war truck coming out for NerdPlayGames. These Manticores will be great so long as they can take some VPs, but they need to take some map before they can use those Manticores to really hold it at all. So the VPs are starting to even out. Oh no, Knobs coming in on the Manticores. One Manticore goes down instantly. All these forces trying to cause some trouble. The Manticore misses the shot on the Knobs. They get knocked back by the Catechins, but they're going to be able to take out the second one as well. And man, Array is going to be down to just a few squads. Oh, and there's the GG from the blue team, or sorry, the red team to the blue team. And oh my goodness, red team throws in the towel. Looks like we were about to have an Eldritch Storm right there from Mr. Jomanix. But wow, those last few engagements, I think Jomanix may have split his attention a bit too much, lost his Fire Prism and Avatar over here, and then the two Manticores of Array were just a bit too undefended once those Knobs decided to move in. They were a bit too far forward. And Array really didn't have much infantry most of the match. He had a lot of vehicles. He had his Ogrins out, which he kind of lost track of and foolishly lost against a Sluggaboy squad. That is just not how you want that to go down. But anyways, nice play by the blue team, managing to stay in through all that early hurt. These double Dark Reaper squads too, man. Just lots of heavy range damage from those, from the flash gits. Just a nasty army from Larks right now. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the game. I know I certainly did. This is Red-Rupee. Thanks for watching. I'll be catching you guys next time.